WNAA 90.1 The Voice. It's your boy Javon Hubbard here with my man Brad Brooks.
What's good?
Wanye Davis.
What's up,
and we are 3rd and 30. Oh man, did you guys catch that MLB game last night?
Man,
the World Series is going crazy, man. It's heating up. The Astros got that big win. What was it? It was the most point score, Brad?
Yeah, most points scored, man. The extra innings, longest game. That was, for me, bro, that was a very compelling game. It was back and forth. A lot of people saying the balls might be juiced because so many home runs.
Yeah.
But I loved every part of it. It was the best baseball game that I ever saw. So I'm hoping it goes to 7.
Man, it was good. I feel like it also will go to 7. The Houston Astros made a statement in Game 5. Game 6 shifts back to the West Coast in L.A. I feel like the Dodgers will pull that one out. But Clayton Kershaw, that's going to hurt his legacy losing that Game 5. That was a rough one.
Yeah, man. I definitely feel like Houston has the city behind them, man. I think with everything that happened with them, I think they need it. Kind of reminds me of New Orleans about the Katrina, how they put things together and were able to win that championship. If they could get this championship, that'd be huge for the city. So,
yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Moving forward, college football. Really heating up.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? What's changing for you guys? I think Georgia's the real deal.
Georgia's the real deal. Georgia's definitely the real deal. Right now, if you look at the rankings, it's definitely like a lot of scenarios they can play. I think every team, I definitely think every team 1 through 10, it's something that can grow. Like, it's going to go down. Tuesday around 7 o'clock. They're going to unveil the playoff rankings. And right now, Wisconsin is sitting number 4 in the polls. That's the team I think is going to, they're going to look at the committee. It's going to be like, haven't played anybody, haven't faced a ranked opponent. So Notre Dame definitely is going to be in that, realm, Georgia. But a team like Clemson, Penn State, those one-loss teams, it gets trickier there. And then also, Oklahoma, because, Ohio State's probably going to be in that top 3 since that win, beating Penn State. It's going to elevate them. But it really gets tricky because now you're playing the blame game. Oklahoma's going to be like, well, we beat them. And then, Oklahoma still has to see TCU, Oklahoma State. And if that happens in the Big Ten, I think the Big Ten can be that conference that gets left out. Right. So it definitely is going to get tricky right now in these next few weeks.
Right, so who's your favorite? If you had to say a person right now that you think is just gone, that's it? You still with Bama? Or are you still with Bama?
Yeah, if I had to give you my 4 teams right now, it's definitely right now Bama, UGA, Ohio State, and then I would say Notre Dame, but the team I don't think is going to make it is Notre Dame, and I know Wanye has something to say on that. They still got to face Miami, they still got to face Stanford. I just don't see them coming out of those scenarios, so I think a team like Clemson can get back in that mix, and Penn State as well, because Penn State has showed all season they're one of the best teams. They just had a tough loss this past Saturday.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel very similar to Brad. The basis of the college football playoff, obviously the winner of the SEC has to get in.
Yeah.
The winner of the Big Ten has to get in. And the winner of the ACC, I feel like, has to get in. The Big Ten is the intriguing conference because I think we can all agree, Alabama and Georgia both win out, and then they meet each other in the SEC championship. Whoever loses, it doesn't really matter. They'll still both get in.
Yeah, of course.
If they both win out. The Big Ten is intriguing because you got Ohio State, you got Wisconsin, and you got Penn State who just lost. So Ohio State still has Michigan at the end of the year. That's always a rivalry game, no matter if Michigan is 0-8. That's still a very good team. And then Wisconsin, who, like you said, hasn't really played anyone. They don't really have the strength of schedule, but, they have a good record. And then Penn State, I feel like can still get in if they win out and maybe Ohio State drops a loss. But as far as right now, my top 4 would absolutely be Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame just coming off that big win against
Southern Cal
and State. But they have to go on the road to Miami, which I think is a game they could lose. So as far as my final 4, who I believe will get in at the end of the year, Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, and Clemson.
And then even with that one, I have a question for you. I know you said if Alabama keeps it, relatively close, if they win or lose when they play Alabama and Atlanta for the SEC championship, do you guys feel that it's easier for 2 SEC teams to make it?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Because I'm looking at it as in the SEC you have 2 good teams, 1 really great team, and 1 good one. I think UGA is on the come up.
Yeah.
They have a young team, freshman quarterback, got a lot of dudes that can run the ball. Defense is good. Kirby Smart, disciple from Nick Saban.
Absolutely.
But I'm looking in the Big Ten, and even though Penn State is going to have that 1 loss at the end of the season, I think right now they're going to run the table. Do you think the Big Ten has that possibility of sending 2 teams, Penn State and Ohio State?
If Penn State and Ohio State win out, absolutely.
Because that's also a possibility,
But then you also have to remember, as part of the critique is they want a conference champion. So Clemson wins the ACC, do you
At
leave
least they
Clemson
have
out?
that under their belt.
Like they have that under their belt.
Say
And,
we are
and
conference
Ohio
champions.
State and Ohio State and Penn State are both in the same division in the
Sure.
Big Ten, so both of them can't win.
But it's just
or
like
go
for
to
me,
an-
I want
go
to
to a
see that matchup between UGA and Bama because at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, like you've been saying all season, the SEC East is weak, and even though
It's
they
very
even though they've been running the table, dominating conference play right now, they got the Notre Dame win on them for their resume. It's still like UGA. I'm sold. Like they're a good team, but even if they lose in the playoff, in the conference championship in the SEC, it's still like if they lose that game, that head-to-head in a neutral site, I think that should knock one of those two teams off.
I feel
depending
So
on the loss.
so what about UGA's game doesn't have you completely sold on their ability?
I mean, I'm sold on it. I think,
just
matchup-wise, I think it's only two other teams that really match up well to Bama if they
Right.
were to play them. I think UGA defensively and how they run the ball, they stack up well against them. Ohio State, that's the team I think, right now, as hot as they are, if they're in the top four, they're going to the championship, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I think they match up well with them, with their D-line. We saw what they were
Yeah,
able to
their
do
D-line was
this Saturday.
looking like an NFL D-line
So,
on Saturday.
It's not really like I'm not sold on UGA. It's just that hanging question that because we're used to the committee being favorite to the SEC.
Yeah.
Right, of course,
But
always.
I think if you're really going to pick the best teams for that criteria, I understand why you mentioned they have to have a conference championship. I mean,
Right.
a conference
That's what
champion.
they said that
but
they
I
want,
really
yeah.
think Penn State, Ohio State, Bama, Clemson are the four best teams in
Yeah,
college
I agree
football.
with you.
I mean, I definitely agree. I feel like, but the thing is, there's so many more scenarios. I mean, if Alabama goes and blows out Georgia by 20-something points,
Yeah.
do they still get
That's
in?
a different
Yeah,
ball game.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a different ball game then. Yeah.
Or if
That's
vice
true.
versa, which, I mean, obviously we all doubt, but what if vice versa? Georgia goes into Atlanta and beats the brakes off of Alabama.
Right.
Then does Alabama get knocked out? I mean, then you still got Ohio State and Penn State. If they went out, do both of them get in? What if Clemson loses to Miami in the ACC championship? There's so many different scenarios that this can go. But I'm still sticking to my top four: Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson.
All right, so just in case anybody has it misconstrued, just in case they think we are confused on any matter of the thing, who's the Heisman guys? Who's getting the Heisman?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
It's Saquon
Just
to
in
lose.
case you've been under a rock, it's
Yeah.
still Saquon Barkley. I just want to let
If
you
Penn
know.
State, I feel like if Penn State loses and JT Barrett continues to play like how he's
Right,
been
right.
and has a huge game at Michigan and that final
I mean,
game
it's
of the
gonna
year,
have to be monumental though. It's gonna have to be.
but that Penn State game, I mean,
It's
in the
gonna have
fourth
to be a
quarter,
huge draw.
he went 13 for 13, 170 yards and 3 touchdowns in that fourth quarter
Yeah.
against the number 2 team in the nation.
That's true.
And
That's
true.
big.
Yeah.
And I
That's
hated
big.
James Franklin and Penn State did that. They got away with giving the best player the ball. Like that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
the reason why
Right.
they were up so much. They were giving. They were feeding the beast basically, and they just kind of stopped doing that. But like I said, I agree with both of you guys. I think it's Saquon to lose. We
Yeah,
saw
absolutely. This is
almost like last year. When Watson started getting hot, and they still gave it to Jackson because he showcased he was the best player.
Yeah,
that
those
year.
stats
So,
that first half. of
I
the season
think
were ridiculous.
like you said, Saquon's stats will blow them away. He's been the best player all year. But
Absolutely.
JT Barrett is definitely climbing the ladder. If he keeps what he's doing up,
He'll get an invite.
Oh, he'll be in New
I
York.
feel
Yeah,
like
yeah. He will
I
be
mean
in
Penn
New
State
York.
has a pretty cakewalk schedule the rest of the season, so I don't see them losing again, and I see
Mm-hmm.
Saquon continuing that 200 plus yards per game that he's doing. But if they lose again and he doesn't have a not so good game and JT Barrett picks it up,
Yeah.
JT Barrett could sneak and steal it from him.
Very good, very good. Moving forward to NFL, guys. So how do you guys feel about the NFL? Big moments. It was some very big moments. We're just going to run through the games really quick and, just talk about them. So, first of all, I want to talk about my Saints, man.
Talk to him.
Talk-
The Saints,
talk
man,
to us.
5 straight. I'm
Talk
proud
to
of my
us.
boys, man. We got a couple of tough matchups. We got the Bills coming up. We got Tampa Bay coming up. But I'm just proud of how we're playing, man. Drew Brees is finally looking like, coming back and looking like what we knew he could be at the beginning of the year.
And what about that
And
defense,
he's playing.
man?
He's really playing with scraps as far as his wide receivers
Honestly.
goes. Michael Thomas isn't playing as
Yeah,
well. He's not
exactly.
having the big games we thought he was going to have, the
Exactly.
breakout season. But he's taking Ted Ginn for 146 yards. He's using, our different tight ends we have. So I'm liking him a lot moving forward. So we got a big win. I like him a lot. So any
Absolutely.
big moments for you guys so far before we go through the games? Who do you like as far as
go ahead and tackle
keep-
that,
Go ahead,
Wanya.
Wanya. We'll give you the floor.
I
man.
mean,
Go ahead.
I mean,
Let's just address
The
the
game
elephant
is-
in the room.
Let's just ask Wanya who's the best player in the world and who's your MVP.
oh,
Go
that's
ahead.
right.
Let's
Carson
talk
wins.
to it.
Of course,
Talk to it.
of course.
Talk to him.
No, but I want to talk about Carson. They got to win against the 49ers. They're 7-1. A big loss for them was absolutely Jason Peters. That left tackle is obviously the most prized position behind quarterback in football. And losing him, a Hall of Famer, that was big on Monday night. Obviously, they got the win against the 49ers yesterday. But, it's the 49ers. They're 0-8 now. So going through, that's gonna be a big statement if they can continue to play the way that they're playing. Alshon had a big catch, but the game of the week was obviously the Texans versus the Seahawks. And I told both of y'all. Week 8 is when the Seahawks start to pick it up. And though, yes, they gave up 38 points.
That's debatable.
Though they gave up 38 points,
so much about their offense last week.
Yeah, but Week 8. It's something about Week 8. I don't know what it is. It's something about Week 8 with the Seahawks that they start to pick it up. Russell Wilson, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. He looked great last night.
Yeah, they definitely looked
great.
So,
I mean, offensively, the Texans, man, I think for me, the Texans they're one of the most fun offenses for me to watch.
Man.
Those that big playability, I mean, whether it's the running game, whether it's the passing game, and you can't, I mean, a lot of times their running game is getting understated because of the passing that's going on.
Yeah.
Crazy bombs of 56 yards to Will Fuller, 35 yards to Hopkins, things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, we're seeing these big plays, but Lamar Miller, man, 2 touchdowns. Lamar Miller is really under the radar. It's like you said, toting the rock. This man is doing exactly what they need him to do and playing within that system and really doing well. Though they didn't get the win, I mean, it came down to coaching, like you said. Tell them, I mean, why do you think it came down to coaching for that game?
I've said it, I think about 2 weeks now, going on 2 weeks. It's something special about Deshaun Watson. I know, we're giving a lot of love for a loss, but it's a lot to like about this dude, man. Already has multiple games with at least 3 passing touchdowns.
Right.
The first quarter,
I believe he's still leading the league in passing touchdowns.
Leading the league in passing touchdowns. And it's just like this team was an afterthought. Tom Savage was really their starter. They looked dry.
They had Tom Savage.
They looked dry. They looked like they had no energy in the building. And it's like Deshaun Watson. They threw him in the starting lineup, and they just looked so rejuvenized, man. Like it's just fresh. Those dudes want to play with him.
And does that not go back to coaching again, though? The fact that they had Tom Savage at the beginning. Let's not act like they haven't had Deshaun Watson all year. But I'm saying, has he not? I don't believe that he didn't show this in practice. I don't believe that he wasn't, doing the things that needed to be done. I think he should have started from week 1.
And that was probably.
He may have, but I'm definitely not going to question Bill O'Brien's decision. Disciple of Bill Belichick, went to Penn State, rejuvenated that program. So maybe he just wanted to wait. It takes some time for rookie quarterbacks to get acclimated into the system, get acclimated into just playing professional sports.
Yeah.
Some shorter than others, as we saw, like Aaron Rodgers way back in the day. Had a few years under Brett Favre, came out, and look at him now. So sometimes, they just need, sometimes it's a few years, sometimes it's a few weeks. But, of course we would all like to see what if Deshaun Watson would have started from the beginning of the year, how would his stats look now?
Right.
But maybe he wasn't ready. And, it's working out now.
I'll tell you this, he's definitely making all the teams that passed up on him, Cleveland, New York,
and
even Chicago, even though, Mitch
Chicago definitely should have took him.
Yeah, he's definitely making those
teams. I'm glad they didn't, though, because, the
thing is, Deshaun Watson, this was the perfect fit for him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't even think if Mitchell Trubisky would have got drafted to the Texans, he would have flourished away. This is the perfect fit for Deshaun. Any other team would have been a disaster, most likely because they have the defense, they have the receivers, they have the running game, they have the coach. All they needed was a
big arm. That's all you needed.
And that throw to Will Fuller, that post route,
man,
I said this dude is real. That's how I knew he was for real. That's how I knew he was for real.
I will tell you this though. Something about the NFL, we're speaking of quarterbacks. Going into the season, I was really high on one of my fan favorites. I love Jameis Winston, but right now they're sitting 2-5, and I know they're going under the radar, but they look rough. This was a team, they spent a lot of money in the offseason, brought in veterans like Deshaun Jackson, drafted Chris Goodwin from Penn State, just spent a lot of money on their offense, and drafted O.J. Howard in the first round. And this is a team they're underperforming.
Even Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, the other tight end. And we're seeing Winston, it's just those inconsistencies, too many turnovers, doesn't protect the ball. And I think Dirk Cutter, coming into the season, I thought this was a coach on the rise, has a good young roster, but this is a dude I think is on the hot seat, could possibly get fired. Maybe, I don't know if he makes it to the end of the season, but right now Tampa Bay, they don't look good, and I had a lot of optimism for them coming into the season.
They had the hype behind them. They were a young, up-and-coming squad. They were on Hard Knocks. But, if anyone watches Hard Knocks, you don't want to be on Hard Knocks. You don't want to be on Hard Knocks.
Great show.
Yeah, you don't want to be on it.
Right.
But we saw their defense, even throughout the preseason, be very inconsistent, very immature, beating themselves. And Jameis Winston just hasn't gotten over, he'll be getting tackled and just throw the ball and throw a bad interception. His decision-making, he's too much of a gunslinger.
Yeah, he's trying to make the big play.
It's almost careless. It's
very careless. And you saw that a lot in his second year starting at Florida State. which was his knock coming into the pros.
Decision making.
And it's about time that you start maturing and you stop making those decisions.
Right.
They're 2-5. Maybe they can get to 8-8 to keep Dirk Cutter's job. But I feel like if they go 6-10,
he might be out the door.
Yeah, 5-11. He might be.
So
out
what
the
did
door
the Panthers do correctly in order to beat Tampa Bay? Because I know you're a Panthers fan.
I don't really think
I know you're kind of disappointed in your team.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
very disappointed. I mean, watching the game, I don't really think they did a lot. I think like Wanya said, it was Tampa Bay. I think the only good out this game was the victory. It's like, all right, we won. Let's move on to the next week. We're 5-3, and it's like you got your star linebacker back, but it's not really much to talk about Carolina for me. The offense looks bad. Since the Super Bowl loss, in 2015, Cam Newton has the worst out of 32 quarterbacks in the league. He has the worst completion percentage, and it's just for me, I think the team just has no juice right now. I don't know if it's Ron Rivera, I don't know if it's the OC Mike Shula, but somebody definitely has to make a spark for them because they have no juice, no running game like we mentioned last week. When you don't have your go-to bread and butter like Seattle without the running game, and Carolina, putting them in that same mix, you don't look good.
You gotta have a running game.
It's 5-3 looking bad.
What about the Ravens running all over the Dolphins? I mean, the Dolphins just look bad. That offense is stale. Jay Ajayi, 13 rushes for 23 yards. Matt Moore only 176 yards and 2 picks.
Yeah, that was an example of why people hate Thursday night games.
40-0.
That was rough.
Yeah.
The hit on Joe Flacco, that got a lot of publicity. From Kiko Alonso. I thought it was a clean hit. As a linebacker, as a defensive player, you're taught to go out and pretty much kill. Like you're going, like you have a killer mindset, and if you slide late, you might get knocked.
Was it intentional?
I don't think. I mean, he was intentionally trying to hit him, but that's what he's taught.
Yeah.
And if you slide late, you better slide
early.
early.
You turn into a running back once you cross that line, and you're still up in an upper position, trying to continue to get yards. You're a running back.
Because as a defender, I don't know if you're trying to lower your shoulder and run me over. I'm not trying to be on Sports Center like that. So I mean, I'm gonna come with it.
I said we seen Cam do it a few times.
Honestly, but the Dolphins, they were on a hot streak. Obviously with the Jay Cutler injury.
Right.
A lot of that offense was very frustrated. Obviously, putting up a goose egg, that was unacceptable. 40 points, though, by that defense, that's unacceptable as well. They got some things to figure out, but, I feel like they will.
So the Raiders came back down to earth after last week, a big game last week. I don't know if you guys follow fantasy, anybody listening, but 33 points on fantasy. That's regular, standard, and then 33 also as well for Amari Cooper last week. But this week, 52 yards from Amari Cooper. Crabtree had only 84 yards, no touchdowns. Carr didn't look good. I mean, what's going on with Derek Carr?
Well, I don't know, man.
First, I got to give love to Buffalo, man.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo did a lot of good in that game. If you watched it, Buffalo hasn't really got the credit.
Buffalo is good this year.
Yeah,
Buffalo is a sleeper team.
I think this year
we can't understand.
I think Buffalo is going to have the chance to end their drought. They got the longest playoff drought in the NFL, and they've been doing well. But the thing with Oakland, a lot of people were saying them and the Cowboys had the two last year. They finally were able to get to the playoff in their drought, and he wasn't able to play in the playoff game. So it's a lot of questions with Oakland. I just know, their secondary is horrible.
Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just they have so many problems to fix. Oakland is still one of those young teams. I think this season can kind of go ahead and go in the trash can for them because,
honestly,
there's nothing really to live up to because in the AFC, I think, Pittsburgh, New England, those are your two hottest teams. Kansas City, I think the way how they beat Kansas City last week on that Thursday night game, it was kind of flukish.
Yeah.
So I think Oakland.
And I mean, the good thing for Oakland as far as their youth, if you look at Pittsburgh, my rumor on Big Ben is I feel like if they don't make a playoff run or if they win the Super Bowl, he's gonna be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady is 40, although he doesn't look it. They're a team on the decline. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
So they still have time. To develop those young players. Derek Carr can still develop into the future Aaron Rodgers that we believe he can. Their division isn't that tough. I mean, the Chiefs are having a really good season, but they're usually at, they're typically at 11-5, 12-4. They can get better than that. The Broncos don't have a quarterback, and the Chargers come on.
And a running back to me, going back to the Bills really quick, a running back for me that just keeps going under the radar, man, LaShawn McCoy.
Shady.
That man, I don't know why. I don't know why he does not get the respect he deserves, and he's never got since he's been on the Eagles. He's never gotten it.
Well, he had it that 1 year.
The 1 year. But I think people, even still though, because there was so many other running backs at the time running.
Exactly.
They were like, okay, LaShawn McCoy's good, but okay, look at over here. Look at this guy. You know what I'm saying? LaShawn McCoy has been so consistent. in his running game. I mean, and he also is another player that we talked about, Le'Veon Bell being almost uncomfortable in his patience and ability to make people miss and things like that. He's another player that's like that.
Yeah,
you know, and broke off that huge run, like we said, against that bad. He just ran right through the secondary. I mean, nobody was there.
Man,
nobody home. 45 yards to the crib. You know, I mean, and he's just a great running back for me. So, moving forward, that close game. We mentioned the Patriots. Close game again. Phillip Rivers losing again in a close game to the Patriots. Lost it through the pick at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Ending the game. I mean, how do you guys feel about the Patriots moving forward?
Dude, I mean, the Patriots, you know, their record makes them look better than they are.
Right.
You know, they still have some issues with that defense. They still have some issues with their passing game. But they're continuing to get W's. At the end of the day, that's really all that matters is that you get W's. The AFC, I don't really see many people who can contend with them. Maybe the Steelers. The Steelers are kind of playing better now. I still give the coach an edge to Bill Belichick. But I mean, the Patriots, they look good. Phillip Rivers, it's time to hang it up, man. It's time to hang it up. They can't even sell out their own stadium.
Yeah,
it's time to hang it up.
They're playing in a lacrosse stadium.
Yeah, The move to Los Angeles. Obviously, the Rams run LA.
Right.
They're kind of like the Clippers of LA now.
Yeah, it just didn't make a lot of sense.
It's time to hang it up, Phillip Rivers. They just can't finish games.
I think you answered everything really far as New England. You know, they do like Wanye said, their record speaks higher than what they're performing as.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're continuing to get wins, so that's all that matters. But as far as the Chargers in that game, my take on that, they're a bad team. I feel bad.
I just feel bad for Phillip Rivers. Man. It always happens to Phillip Rivers. He leads also since his tenure as quarterback. He leads the league in close game losses.
Yeah.
Oh,
Within I think three or less points. I mean, he just cannot seem to finish final
and
drives.
It just makes it worse as quarterback class who came in with Big Ben and Eli. Eli has 2 rings and Phillip Rivers has never even been in one. So that it just makes it look bad.
All right, guys. So moving forward, if I told you today that the NBA playoffs started, right? If the NBA playoffs were to start today, and Detroit was on top of the East, Boston was second in the East, and Orlando was third in the East. Then moving on to the West, right? Memphis was number 1 in the West.
Wow.
Okay, the LA Clippers is number 2 in the West, and then Houston is number 3. What? Y'all would call me crazy, right? Y'all would think,
I would think
LeBron,
Kyrie. I would think everybody in the NBA is injured, honestly.
Yeah, what you doing?
And the funny part is, a lot of people are healthy. So
honestly,
what's really going on in the NBA right now? Cleveland and Golden State. Here's
the thing. Everyone made so many offseason moves that they're getting acclimated with each other. Timberwolves, Rockets, Celtics, and obviously with the Celtics, the Gordon Hayward injury also set them back. And then the Cavs have looked absolutely horrible. But let's be honest, LeBron James' teams, especially coming in where they have a lot of new pieces, they always look bad in the beginning. Right. And then they look bad right before playoff time, and then they get it going. So I mean that's just the timeline.
LeBron James ran point guard last week, two times last week in a row. Yeah. I mean,
and put up numbers.
But he had the turnovers, though, were bad.
Yeah, he's turned over the rock a lot. And their defense is looking horrible. But, I mean, I've never doubted LeBron.
I'm not worried, but I just want to, especially, I think what worries me more is Golden State and the way they're starting. Because Golden State has almost the identical team as last year. So I'm like, okay, you come out, they should be at least 6-0. At least, running people off the floor. And it's just we're not seeing it. They're losing to these teams that they shouldn't be losing to. People are missing open shots. They're not communicating effectively on the floor. People are fighting. Draymond's, on the floor fighting Bradley Beal.
Even that opening night when they lost to the Rockets. When they lost to the Houston, and Chris Paul wasn't even in there for like the entire fourth quarter, and it was James Harden and
frying him by himself.
Yeah, like that's not a good look for the Golden State Warriors. That's not Golden State basketball. They'll pick it up.
I mean, I'd definitely say that too, but it's just you can't really make a big deal of it right now. I think especially for LeBron, he said himself, I've been in this situation before.
Exactly.
We'll get it, we'll clean it up. But as far as Golden State, I definitely think, talent-wise, they're still the best team. And like you said, you can't really make a big deal of it right now. They look bad. But the word I would throw out, they kind of look vulnerable now. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they know how to get under their skin. Not saying they're more talented than them, but a lot of people can find ways to get under their skin. And just that creates adversity that makes it hard for them to continue to win.
Absolutely. So, Draymond has shown when it was the 2016 finals.
He's the most important piece.
He is the most. He is the most valuable piece. I don't care what anyone says. Not Steph Curry, not Kevin Durant, not Klay Thompson. It's Draymond Green. Because Draymond Green is that one player who gives that team that grit, that nasty, that scrappy, that it
dog
factor,
mentality.
that dog
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Patrick Beverly brings to the Clippers now, just that dog mentality, and it's just their emotional leader. And when he's not there, or he gets ejected, or gets a technical or whatever, he kind of loses it, and he needs to hone that in going forward, because it's going to cost him, and it may cost him like how I did that.
And so for the teams that are on top right now, these weird teams that we've never seen on top before, like or in the last few years, you know, do you think that they can keep it up? I mean, what's going on with them that they're doing?
Look,
you know,
listen, the Clippers will absolutely make the playoffs. I try to tell y'all this.
You spoke about it.
I try to tell y'all this.
You were
Blake
adamant about
Griffin, now that he has the Rock and it's his squad, that dude's putting up MVP type numbers.
He's a serious contender.
He's putting up
Blake
MVP.
is a
He's
point
not
guard,
he's not
shooting guard,
he's not going to
small
win it.
forward, center.
He's not going to win it. But
You gotta take him
this
serious.
man is
Yeah.
doing his thing, because now it's he doesn't have to wait for someone to give him the ball.
Yeah.
He can
gotta
get the
take him
rebound,
serious.
push it up the
All
floor,
the way by himself.
and
Coast
he's
to
not
coast.
he's not getting yelled in his ear by Chris Paul. He has that freedom. Doc gave him the keys. He's like, yo, go
Like
do
you
it.
say, you don't got a point guard to be over dribbling.
Exactly.
Right.
Blake Griffin is doing his
I mean,
thing.
and what
man.
about
Watch out.
Memphis putting it together? I mean, they're
Man,
5-1,
Memphis
but they're
is
always
great.
they're
Yeah,
always
Memphis
putting
is
it
always
together.
they
like
are.
that.
I mean, they're putting it together with scraps
And
though,
then-
with people who we didn't think like I mean,
And that's
Dylan
how
Brooks is
Brooks,
playing,
Dylan Brooks,
who
yeah.
we spoke about before. You know,
In the
last
tournament.
year in the tournament,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks is playing some good
And
basketball.
then like
Mario Chalmers is playing
and
good
then
basketball.
Fizdale is one of the most underrated
is.
coaches.
Yeah,
man.
he is,
man.
Give him the
Fizdale,
credit.
you know, with there's your daddy, that coach, everybody
Right,
knows Fizdale.
right.
Fizdale is a dude, you know, he's going to keep that team rolling. So I like Memphis, man.
I like them a lot, man. So I mean, who do you guys think? I mean, longevity, other than of course Golden State.
Oh, it's
and-
Boston for me, man.
Okay, so Boston is your
It's
team.
Boston for me, man.
And what about
Tay,
Western
yeah.
Conference? Who do you like?
Western Conference, man, I couldn't really give you a team, you know, far as, you know, long term, but I really like what I'm seeing out of OKC and Minnesota.
Mhm.
You know, got a lot of young pieces. And then maybe New Orleans if they can keep Boogie and AD together, but those are only really teams.
And that's something
really.
that's working that I didn't think was going to be able to work. That's
Man,
something
quick
that's definitely
point. Did
working.
y'all see that game Boogie against Sacramento?
Oh, he had a
He
chip
made,
in the
he
shirt. He
made
was
them.
mad.
He made them pay, man.
Yeah, yeah.
All
He
they need,
definitely
man.
made
All
that
they
point.
need is a solid point guard, man. That'll be something serious, man.
I mean, who was guarding? What was it? Willie Cauley-Stein
Because
was guarding? I mean,
AD
he was
and
just getting
DeMarcus
ate up.
Cousins are figuring it out. They just need that point guard. They need some shooters around them.
I mean,
man.
they put Willie Cauley-Stein on him. They put LaBissiere on him. They double teamed.
Nobody was stopping
I
that
mean,
man.
he was shooting threes. He was shooting mid ranges.
Nobody
running
was
the
stopping
floor,
that man.
posting up. I mean, it was crazy.
It was ridiculous, man. That man looked like he was on a mission.
All right, so are we still the same as far as playoff picture? If you guys think, other than like we said again, of course we know they're gonna get right. Has anything changed for you guys? Like we said, we got Detroit on top of their conference right now. Does anything change for you so far? Like a little bit of an way too early playoff pick that you could maybe say one team that you maybe could think.
Not really.
No?
Not really. I mean, I'm still sticking with, I still think my Sixers will find a way. They got to get this Markelle Fultz situation figured out because it's becoming a disaster.
One thing I want to ask really quick before we get out of here, why did they let him play through that? Because one
I don't
question
know.
that,
Somebody's
and that's
lying.
one thing that Alex Kennedy, I saw him tweet that, and that was a good point. I mean,
Yeah,
Embiid, we rested, right?
exactly.
Simmons, rested.
Why not do it
I mean,
again?
so why are we not resting somebody who was an obvious great
Man.
piece that we could add to our team?
Man, something's up with that story.
Right.
Something's
Something's
up.
not
I don't
true.
know.
Right.
I don't know. I hate that he changed his shot though, because it looks horrible. I don't know what it. I mean, it looks like a 2-year-old trying to shoot in a Fisher-Price goal.
Yeah.
It looks absolutely horrible. They need to get that thing figured out because they need him to score the rock if they're gonna make a playoff run, man. Because Embiid is gonna be in and out of the lineup. Ben Simmons can't go get a bucket by himself, so they're gonna need folks to get his.
So give us some social media before we get out of here, guys.
Hey, man, y'all can check me out at _Brad Brooks, man.
Man, talk to me at allday1, ALLDAYWANYE.
It's your boy Javon Hubbard, man. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JDHUBBAR. And for WNAA 90.1 The Voice, my boy Brad Brooks, Wanye Davis, I'm
Yeah.
Javon Hubbard. Thanks for listening.
Dirty something in the styrofoam. Spill the day to get my mind blown.